4 shows, 4 hosts, 1 powerhouse of paranormal and cryptid entertainment all week long. Ghost Cats and Cryptids, joining the Banter with Richie B Podcast Network every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join researcher Jean Tewskbury as she dives into the world of mountain lions, the elusive predators known as ghost cats. Jean also explores cryptids, separating fact from folklore and asking the questions others won't. Kick off your week on Tuesdays with the one and only Wojo, host of Home of the Boom. He's diving deep into the world of cryptids, Bigfoot, and the mysteries that shake the woods. Interviews, investigations, and the loudest boom in the cryptid community every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Fridays get a little darker and a whole lot prettier. Join Sam from Sam's Pretty Paranormal, where makeup meets the macabre. It's Sam After Dark, spooky storytelling, and her fan favorite segment, Cooking for the Dead. Tune in every Friday from 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for glam, goosebumps, and all things ghoulish. And every Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the flagship show returns, Banter with Richie B Live, featuring Richie B and Wojo. From updates to investigations to wild discussions, this is the core of the network. Raw, real, and always unpredictable. Spend your Saturday evenings with the duo that started it all. 4 nights of content, 4 incredible hosts, cryptids, ghosts, glam, stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. This is the Banter with Richie B Podcast Network.
That one is just absolutely beautiful. Hey everybody, welcome to Ghost Cats and Cryptids. I'm glad everybody's here. I'm going to say my introductions and say hi to everybody very soon. First, I just wanted to say I appreciate everybody showing up where it's Mother's Day for this special edition of Ghost Cats and Cryptids. This one is very special to me because I get to talk about a topic that I thoroughly enjoy. I was only able to know of the cat for 8 months before he passed, but I was able to look into articles and different stuff of his life before that, after discovering him. And they have a saying in LA. It started with the LA hashtag Save the LA Cougars, and it's peace, love, and P-22. And with that being said, I want to remind everybody that I really appreciate everybody being here. This is a safe place. All I ask for is, everybody respect everybody. Okay. There's been a lot of stuff happening as of late, and a lot of disrespect. If you guys happen to, see any of that in the comments, because sometimes I miss it. I know we have moderators and who come in, and do administrative work. And sometimes, they don't catch up on it. You could let us know and stuff. But remember, I just want everybody to just enjoy themselves, have a nice time while you're watching the show. I hope that, at times it helps you. I do it for educational purposes, just because I think it's really good to know the topic that I'm researching and everything. So with that said, welcome. And the first one in tonight was Miss Mary. Mary, how are you? Happy Mother's Day. I hope you had a wonderful day. Kurt W is in the house. Hey, Kurt. We had Susan come in. I hope you had a nice Mother's Day as well, Susan. Sam is here. And just got done talking with her a little while ago, and I think you're having a great Mother's Day, so I hope so. Whoa, Joe, how are you? I'm glad you can make it. And then let's see if BMO I saw come in. I'm trying to get back up there a little ways so I can get back. Yeah, okay, so we got Wojo, BMO. How are you doing, BMO? Melanie, it's good to see you. Melanie loves wolves. Oh, hey, that's cool. BDA in the house. How are you, Andy? Giovanni, how are you? So yeah, the topic tonight I chose, where it was Mother's Day. I figured it would be a topic that I wanted to talk about. Hey, D Hoot. Yeah, what the hell? How are you? I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I really do. Sundays is my only day off, so I kind of try to relax as much as I can and look forward to doing my show. So tonight's topic is, when I started looking into, and I had my setting, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to start looking into these ghost cats in the East. And I read the book there. I've shown it before, by Bruce S. Wright, which is The Ghosts of North America. He was a wildlife biologist out of New Brunswick, and he researched the sightings, talked to eyewitnesses, and he did a book on it. But what he did say in the book at the end made perfect sense to me, because a lot of times people try to break up these big cats. Well, you've got West, you've got Midwest, Central, and then East. They're all the same cat, okay, unless they're South American, and then they are different. There is a difference. Ooh, I'd love to hear that. That's awesome, BMO. And he said that there is no difference. If you want to learn anything, research and learn from people that are studying them in Western states where they are at. So I started looking into stuff, and I came across this amazing cat in California. And instead of just diving in, I'm going to start with the beginning of his story, because I got to look into it and I found it very, very amazing. Now, this young male was about a year and a half old. And at the time that when they're about a year and a half old, that's when mama says, I've had enough, get going. And he went looking for his own territory. Well, he was in the Santa Monica Mountains, is where they're assuming he was born. And so, of course, in California, they have a ton of mountain lions. They've actually got several. And because of how California keeps expanding and stuff, the wildlife is now moving into the cities. So this young male at a year and a half old did something extremely remarkable. Other animals have tried, other mountain lions have tried, most have been extremely unsuccessful, but he crossed a major highway. And when I say a major highway, the 405 is 14 lanes, 7 lanes on each side, and it runs through LA, okay? And he crossed that highway. Well, most, like I said, wild animals have not succeeded in that, but he did not just cross the 405, he also crossed the 101 and ended up in this little park in LA called Griffith Park. This park is the size, it's 9 miles. It's a 9-mile square radius of property. It has the foothills, it has the mountains, it does have other wildlife in there, deer, raccoons, different things. But it also is home to an observatory. People hike, bike, picnic. There's plays put on in this park. It's very well known. I mean, if you watch a lot of shows and stuff, Griffith Park is mentioned a lot in different areas when it comes to California. Okay. And this cat was discovered there. They tranked him. They took blood samples. They took tissue samples. They collared him with a GPS collar, and they put him back in the same area that he was subdued in, which is very unusual. Hey, Jason, how are you? I'm here until 6 Central. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you're here. No matter how short of time you're going to be here, D-Hoot, I'm just happy you're here. Like I said, I'm happy everybody that can make it. I know it's hard. It's Mother's Day. A lot of people have plans and other things going on. So when they put him back in the area they found him in, which I thought was very unusual, because they put him back in Griffith Park, which, if you know anything, most people don't like the idea of having a mountain lion, especially, in an area where people are going to be moving around and stuff. They estimated his age when they did it between a year and a half and 3. So I honestly have no idea exactly how old he was. But hi, Lori, how are you? Good to see you. Alien abduction. Cats being captured by yeah. But I found it strange that they put him back in that area. But I also figured that they were going to continue to let him roam to figure out if he could find other space, but he never crossed those highways again. So that was his territory. He made that 9-mile radius his territory, which, again, biologists were shocked by, because mountain lions have a territory that's anywhere from 125 to 150. It's a radius of 125 to 150 miles. So for him to stay there, it also made it to the point that they knew that he was never, because he wasn't leaving that area, he wasn't going to find a mate, and he wasn't going to reproduce. So he was also dubbed after he was given the name P-22. They don't give them actual names. They just do a P and a dash with whatever number they end up with. they dubbed him the loneliest Hollywood bachelor because he was going to be there solitary for the rest of his life if that's where he chose to stay, and he did. Oh, you have a date. Well, you have a date to mow. Okay. Your good deed for the day. Well, you're awesome, D Hoot. So yeah, I was just finding this very intriguing because LA is very overpopulated city, and there's a lot going on. And for them to leave to put the cat back there and let the cat decide where it was going to stay. But because, it has a GPS collar, they could keep tabs on him and knew exactly what he was doing. So he was roaming around the Hollywood Hills. He was roaming around the forest area. He actually, because a lot of people will tell you that these cats are nocturnal. They're not. They will be out at night, but they're out just as much during the day. It really depends. But because of where the area he chose, he did adapt to be all nocturnal. He did everything he needed to do at night. That way there, he didn't have to deal with people, which actually was a very good thing, because it kept everybody safe. Hey, Sparky. Sparky plays time. Host, okay. Okay, let's see. Hi, Andrew. Oh, from England. Well, how are you? I'm glad that you could tune in and check out the show. So I'm going to try to pull up this video. This was from using a GPS collar and talking to the biologist that a gentleman from, oh crap, why did it go and do that? Oh crap, now, yep, it's not going to give me my files. All right, never mind. I can't do it that way. For some reason, it went out. So I'm going to try to do this. If I lose you guys, I will be right back. I promise. I just want to try to get these photos. I had them in here and I don't know what I hit, but I hit something and it took them out. And I really want to make sure that I can show these to you. And all right, there's that one. And one more. Please stay with me. I am so sorry. All right, there we go. All right, exit out. So let's go back in here and see if it did it this time. Images. Okay, go down, go down. This is the one I want. And this is, I think this is the one I want. Do. Thank you guys for sticking with me. If it will pop up here. There we go. This right here. It was captured by Steve Winters for National Geographic. I don't know why it's doing that to the photo. Why it's uploading. All I wanted to do was just put it up there. There we go. And this became one of the most famous pictures of P-22. Such a handsome, handsome boy. And this is what he did at night. They got, because of his GPS and the small area, because they do, they roam around, they had tracked him for a couple months to know exactly when he would be going through. And yeah, this was like an iconic picture. I left everything up because I know it's copyrighted and I do not want to get in trouble for using it. But this is like, I just absolutely love this picture because he is just one big, handsome boy. Yes, he is. It was a great shot. That was, the trail camera did an amazing job catching that shot because that is actually priceless. Let's see. How you doing? Okay. You have a great day too. Ron. Hi, Ron. Yeah, so and so he lived in this area and they started following him, they started tracking him to see what was going on. He was eating deer. They would get, mule deer going through. He was eating raccoons. He really never bothered anybody. People actually in the area, he became after this photo a celebrity in his own right because people were shocked as anything to know that this park that they'd been going to, this majorly big cat, is living in, and nobody ever saw him. Yeah, it is. I think that the collars are a lot of times. I've watched a lot of stuff with Beth Pratt, who she was there when through most of his life. They will break away though, so that they don't get caught on stuff. But it's because they put all the GPS stuff in there. Awesome. That's good. I'm glad. Thank you, Sam. Hey, John, how are you? Yeah, and I mean, it was fascinating getting to learn more and more about his life and how he was able to interact. There was a gentleman who lived in some condominiums that went around the park, and he actually was able to set up trail cameras, and he got hundreds of photos because he knew exactly when P-22 would be going through. So it helped keep track of him, so that they knew what was going on, even with the GPS collar, because sometimes the collars, when they do the stuff, that there's malfunctions and different things like that. And with everything he was doing, he was pretty well focused on. They kept an eye on him, and he adapted his lifestyle so that he was just there at night. I'm sorry, I forgot. I missed Eric. Hey, guys. Bogles in the house. And I just found it really intriguing that, he was showing the world and the people in that area that you can coexist, okay? Because we are, as humans, we just keep populating the area, okay? And we end up going into areas where wildlife is. I mean, they've done it with stuff with coyotes and everything. People always get freaked out with coyotes on the road. Well, it was their area. Okay, this is what it was their territory. So they're adapting to us living in their areas. And that's one of the things with one of the other ones I did, is when you move somewhere and stuff, you need to really know what animals you have around. And to have mountain lions that are in LA, I mean, and there was right after P-22 passed at the end of December, 2-3 months later, another mountain lion was seen in Griffith Park. That one did not stay, but there, it's good to know that you have these animals in the area. And like I said, is it Oakland or Oak? I can't remember what it was, but I was talking about the news there where one was up in a tree and somebody noticed it. Next thing you know, you've got a bunch of people just hovering this tree, taking pictures because, it's an unusual sight, but you do see it, and that's because they're there. But the issue is even in California, I mean, there's wildlife, inland fisheries and wildlife workers that can tell you they've seen plenty of tracks, but they've never, ever seen a mountain lion because they're that elusive. So with P-22, it was a great way for them to actually be able to learn his behavior and try to incorporate it if it works with others as well. Because he was one in a million. I don't know of many that would do what he did and stay in such a small area. Yeah, he knew. I mean, and that's the thing, is animals learn, they sense things and they know. And a lot of people just think they're big, dumb animals, and they're not. And they are amazingly smart. I completely BMO. I completely agree with that. And it's like they know the dangers. It's like I've said that here with the research that I do, okay? We've put them to the point of extinction. Okay, they're supposed to be extinct, even though people are still seeing them, whether they're transits from, the Midwest moving across, that's another story, or whether there's some still here, which I do think that there is. I mean, with the University of Montreal study and everything, it showed that they actually had DNA from, cougars. 9 samples, 9 of them were from South America. So that is most likely somebody's pet that was released, but the other 6 were not. and they couldn't figure out if they were something, ones from the West, or if they were ones that were actually, still around. It's too hard to decipher, because I know they say subspecies and they say this and they say that. But they are the same animal, okay? The same DNA. It's like when Florida decided to try to save their population, because they were very, very low. I mean, they were in single digits, and they brought over 8 female mountain lions from Texas. Okay, they're still mountain lions. Okay, there's no difference. They're the same animal, and you can say, oh well, it's a subspecies because they're Texas mountain lions. No, they're just from Texas. It doesn't matter. Yeah, Arkansas has I know I've got reports out of Arkansas too on that. There's a lot of them that deny it, and I don't understand, because when I talk to the biologists, they say no. But I'm gonna look into that more. I actually want to try to reach out to somebody in inland fisheries and wildlife from Vermont, because they have been discussing reintroducing mountain lions to that state, or the catamount as they call them in Vermont, and find out what would end up changing if they did do that, if there's any difference with the hunting laws, or anything like that. Because a lot of people around here, that's what they always say is, oh, they're going to change the hunting laws, you're not going to be able to do this and on this amount of property or whatever, if there's one. And I keep getting told by my state biologist that that's just a load of hokum, but that it's coming from somewhere. It's not just people's imaginations. So it would be nice to find out. I wouldn't have one as a pet. I mean, there's on Facebook, there's a page called I Am Puma, and that gentleman has a mountain lion as a pet. Shows videos all the time. There's also one that's Luna, and that's a black, a melanistic, I want to say leopard, because I don't think she's a jaguar. I think she is a leopard. And stuff. In this state, there's 4 people that have them as pets. I do know that from talking to my wildlife biologist, but it's pretty tricky. I mean, I wouldn't want to, because the cat wants to play, and you've seen what small cats can do. Imagine if the big one decides it wants to play, and it wants to play rough. That's some hospital time. I'm sorry, because they're not going to know their own strength. Oh, they have confirmed. Well, I know that they say that they have documented sightings. I don't know if they still believe that they're there or not, because most places will tell you what the initial thing is they'll say there's like here, they said there's no confirmed sightings. There is, because I actually have a newspaper report on DNA that from a sighting that was in Cape Elizabeth, where the woman said she saw one in her backyard. They came out, they got hair samples, and it did test positive for a cougar, mountain lion, whatever you want to call it. And that was put into the paper, and there was tracks that were verified in Monmouth that are Monmouth? Yeah. That were verified to be cougar tracks too. I know with the Cape Elizabeth one, because it wasn't seen again, they were assuming it was somebody's pet, but you would think because of that animal, there is paperwork that has to be done. You can't just have one. If you do, they're going to come in and they're going to seize it once they find out, but you wouldn't think that they would know. There's a database where you can actually go on, and it tells you, Lori, because I pulled it up with the states, with the ones that because it will tell you how many mountain lions estimated in the state from what they've been able to count. They can't get them all, but it does it for all the states. And then I think there was some, because Nebraska has just finally started recognizing that they've had some in there. A lot of times they will say, even if they have confirmed sightings, that they're still They're not in the state because what they're looking for is they're looking for kittens. They're looking for a breeding population, which is what happened with Michigan, when the woman got the two juveniles on her car. She had a camera and it caught that, so she had video of the babies. But you can look it up. They'll have databases for all of the states, because I've pulled up. I try to keep it updated each year because numbers change a lot. And the one thing that I found with Florida that I was floored by is when they do their counts and stuff, for the mountain lions there, they don't count the juveniles. And I don't know why. The juveniles are not part of the actual count that they have. And with the story of P-22, though, what I found remarkable with that is he was roaming like the neighborhoods in the Hollywood Hills, and people were showing videos of him in their yard, like laying down, and like the headlights would come and he'd just get up and he'd move around and stuff. And it was kind of funny that he just learned to adapt to having that many people around. And I don't know which one this one is, but I'm just gonna pull up random pictures here of him just because I think he's absolutely handsome. Yeah, right there. Look at that face. And that was from 2019, and that was somebody from the Natural History Museum that took that one. But I know when he passed, there was a big debate. The indigenous people got involved because they wanted to make sure that he was buried back at Griffith Park, because there was talk about having him taxidermied and put in a museum and stuff. And I think that ended up not happening. He did end up being buried back in Griffith Park where he lived. Oh, wow. A ton of alligators, huh? All right, let's remove you and see which other one. But I do have one when he's just hanging out and on somebody's balcony, which I thought was funny. Yeah, he is a gorgeous boy. I just absolutely freaking love him. I was obsessed when I found him, and then I was oh no, that's the same picture. Gosh darn it. I'm not good at this. I hate the fact because they're like this big, so I'm trying to actually see. So just bear with me. I promise I'll get this down at some point. I'll change it up and see what else I got here. It's this one here. All right, so I know not to hit that one again. Oh, there he is again, standing over LA. That's the city behind him. Absolutely amazing, his story of how he stayed there. Never bothers soul. Believe it. Well, he got hit by a car on all until they actually captured him. That he had just grabbing something real quick and then I'll be back. There we go. All right, that's the one I want. Okay, so I'm coming back and do. Sorry if you lost me. I'm trying to just pull up pictures. Like I said, he's just absolutely gorgeous, and I want everybody to meet P-22. Oh, wait. Oh, crap. Nope, that's not it. I killed it again. Damn it. I just had it and I screwed it all up. Anyhow. I'm trying to... Yes, Mary, me too. They're just not allowing the taking of alligators. So okay, so you brought up the alligator thing. If there's like an outrageous amount, Lori, how do they keep the numbers down on those? Is there something that they do? Because I mean, you would think that they would want to try to keep some type of control. Yeah, he did get hit by a car. He got hit by a car. They're not sure when, because they captured him in December of 2022. He, at that point in time, was in bad shape. The reason that they had to do it was because he actually attacked a dog that was being walked by its owner. And that is something he had never done before. And because of that action, they went and they tracked him down. See, there he is right there on just somebody's balcony. I mean, what would you do if you woke up in the middle of the night and see that sitting on your balcony? But that's what he did. He just roamed around at night and... Oh, hunting seasons. Oh, and egg harvesting. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I was just trying to figure that out. So thank you, BMO. Yeah, so that's mainly what he did. He just hung out in people's backyards, their front yards, wandering around the woods, just that was his daytime. That was his activity, was he would just go around and just hang out and stuff. So he so after there we go. After he attacked the dog, which was a sad thing, and everything, they brought him in. They actually got him in the backyard. And this is the great part, because when I worked at the ICM, I got to meet amazing people from all over the world. And I tell you what, this woman came in with her son. They were from LA. And I hope this doesn't do a screenshot thing, but this is the day that they captured him. Okay. He was in a woman's backyard in one of the neighborhoods. And I was talking to the woman and I was like, oh, you're from where P-22 came from. And, because he was in LA, they lived in LA. And she goes, oh my gosh. She goes, we lived in a neighborhood right outside of Griffith Park. She goes, but we never, ever saw him. Okay. She goes, we never saw him ever. She goes, and it's so sad. She goes, but the day that they captured him, he was 4 doors down in the house, four places down from her. All of a sudden, you've got Inland Fisheries and Wildlife showing up at this woman's door. She's on her phone talking. And they're rapping on the door, trying to get her attention. And she's yelling at them, I'm on the phone. And they're trying to explain to her she has a mountain lion in her backyard. And she was just kind of like, what? And she kind of, her jaw dropped, because, by this time, everybody's like kind of congregating. That's why she knew that what was going on. And she said, yeah, they brought him in. And what they did was they tranked him. They brought him in, ran some tests. They found he was hit by a car. He had a cracked skull. He was going through organ failure, and he had mange. And that's why he attacked the dog, because it was the easiest prey for him at the time, because he was shutting down. So they decided to make the call to have him euthanized, which I knew the second that he attacked the dog, that's what they were probably going to do. And Beth Pratt was, who is the founder of hashtag Save the LA Cougars. was there. She was also she was an executive for the National Wildlife Federation as well for a while. She was there when the whole thing went down. She stayed with him. Hey, Tim, how are you? And I mean, I was upset because I knew they were going to do it, but it was the most humane thing to do because he was literally suffering. And what came after just blew my mind, because after his passing, he was he was mourned. He was mourned by the community. He was mourned by the school systems. The children just were like insanely upset that this mountain lion who had become so famous was gone. And they ended up doing a life in February for P-22. It lasted 4 hours. They did it in Griffith Park. And they had the indigenous people came and gave prayers. They had the schools classes came, and they were singing songs. Like one class changed the words to Scooby-Doo, where are you, to P-22, we miss you. It was just an incredible celebration for an animal that most people could care less about. But his message was they could coexist. Okay, he lived in LA. Okay, it's not like here in Waldoboro where I live. Okay, there's a ton of woods. He wouldn't have to worry about seeing anybody. But this cat chose a place that was very overpopulated, and he adapted to it. He survived in it. He lived there for 10 years, and there was no conflict whatsoever. Hey, Jesse, how are you? And he proved that this could happen. And that message is just one that I find extremely incredible. I think that it's one for just to remember that, like BMO said, okay, they're smart. Animals are smart. And I think a lot of times humans, we're arrogant. I'm sorry. We are extremely arrogant when it comes to we know things and we know best. And there's a lot we can learn from these animals. And there was a lot that everybody learned from P-22. It was an amazing story. It was an amazing adventure. Really, the life he lived was an amazing adventure. Being able to do what he did in the area, the small area that he did, was just incredible. And the celebration of life that they had, people standing up, like the indigenous people standing up for him and making sure that he was buried where, he lived, was incredible. And one of my favorite parts, and I've said this before, if you get a chance, go onto YouTube. Rainn Wilson from The Office. He was also in the Meg. He's very funny. He's a big advocate for the wildlife in LA, especially the cougars, which he has to poke fun of and make jokes of. But he did the most amazing impromptu song called P-22, and it's cute, it's funny, it got the crowd going, and it just made everybody think. He proved that you can live amongst humans and there's no conflict. Hi, Mickey, how are you? Yes, I hope everybody had a wonderful Mother's Day. Like I said, I did. I've been home. I feel better this morning. I was feeling like crap. I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to do this, but I'm like, I have to. I'm talking P-22. You don't understand. Like this, I am obsessed with this stuff. I actually didn't wear my jersey. That's what I planned on wearing, but it's really freaking cold out. But yeah, I have my P-22 here. He goes when I give my talks. I take him everywhere when I do my talks and stuff so the kids can pat him. I have now got, because I made myself for my research when I go out in the field, a life-size cardboard cougar, but now I actually have one that is a cougar and it's life-size. So I figure I can take that when I do talks and stuff, and the kids can do pictures with it and stuff, because like I said, these animals are smart. These animals have just as much right to be here as we do, and to try to understand them and realize, that they are not monsters is a major thing. And that, yes, there's going to be conflict at times, and try to figure out what that reasoning and why it is. Yeah, well, science is an idiot. Sorry, BMO. It's like, yeah, no. These cats are smart. So yeah, do you guys have any questions or anything? Because yeah. Advanced memory. Yeah, and that's the thing is yes, and I do agree with that. Yes, happy birthday, Eric. Squatch bait, I should say. That's what I usually like to call them, squatch bait. They have the learning skills. They are very good at that. And like I said, they're taught from their mothers, but they also, like you said, observing. You see things and stuff. They learn patterns. They learn, to how to avoid stuff, how to, interact. It's, when they need to, and I just find it that they're a lot smarter than you think. Even around here, most of the sightings that I get reports out of, okay, there's wetlands, swamps, well, the wetlands or swamps, bogs, whatever. And that's where most of the sightings happen. And my theory on the thing is that's most likely if they're going to have a habitat and where there's a bunch of people around, that's where they're going to have it. Because I can tell you right now, nobody's going to chase them into that area. I mean, it's going to be hard to get through. It's not like you can just, put a boat in or whatever, because these areas that are wetlands don't have, I mean, they have water, but they've got other issues and stuff that you have to obstacles to get around. And I don't know if there's any markings as burial site, honestly. They kind of kept that hush hush. Like I said, it was a big, big, big debate when he passed, because they were discussing going to court on that, which, because they were very adamant that he be buried in Griffith Park. There's a lot of, since his death, there's been a lot of murals and stuff put in LA for him. And they're putting a statue, I believe, in Griffith Park too. No. Most of the time they do it solo. You will see two cats together sometimes when it's mating season. When they're mating. And that's about the only time, because there is, in Bruce S. Wright's book, the one I was talking about earlier on, a gentleman in New Brunswick that was a farmer actually had discussed his sighting that he had of a male and a female that were going through. And he literally, because they tell you, when you come across one, make yourself big, da, da, da. Well, he made himself big and he was loud. The thing that got him was they didn't pay any attention to him at all. They stayed on the outside of the fencing, that he had, but they didn't pay any attention whatsoever to the farmer. And Mr. Wright was assuming that it was probably because they were in the midst of, their little mating ritual and stuff. So they had other things on their minds beside people and stuff. So yes, that was just his opinion on it and stuff. And yeah. So it's about the only time I haven't heard of any that really travel in pairs. I mean, I'm sure they do, but it's not, as far as I know, it's not a common thing and stuff. It's usually about the only time you see them traveling in pairs too is when they're juveniles, because they do kind of stick together. They're even, if mama's out hunting or something, they'll stick together and they play and they learn, from each other, and they learn from mama. Everybody's wishing Eric a happy birthday. But I just think that it's important, and like I said, P-22, to me, his story is amazing. Being able to cross those highways, thanks to his story, the world's largest overpass was made for a wildlife overpass was made. The Ann Wallace yeah, I can't even pronounce it. Oh, see, I thought they wanted him buried in Griffith Park because there was a big debate with the indigenous people. Maybe I'll have to look into it because I'm just going by what the newspaper articles and stuff had said on that. So I'm gonna, because like I said, there was a big debate and it was going back and forth, but I thought he was laid to rest there. Thank you, BMO. See, I love it. I love it. Um, so yeah, I will look at that. And it would make sense though if he was, because they assume he was born in the Santa Monica Mountains anyways, which is on the other side of Griffith Park. Because like I said, it's right across the two major freeways that he had to cross to get there. Tomorrow I'll put on, because they did a little short on, his life and how he inspired the wildlife crossing that was just built and stuff. I think it's actually just about done and everything, and it goes over his little journey. Okay, local, yeah, I figured it would be because they were adamant about it. And I know that it was weird. They have a show on Fox called Animal Control. Yeah, BMO is awesome. Thank you. And I do agree, Sam. That's phenomenal, because literally I'm going by what I was told there, and it's good because I don't have anything on the burial. This is I'll tell you right now. This is all P-22. Every single bit of it that I could get. And yeah, I don't have anything on the burial. So everyone is awesome. Yes, we are all awesome. So that's good to know. But the show Animal Control, they actually did a thing with it was supposed to be a mountain lion there, where they did a burial for it, and it was kind of a little tribute to P-22, even though Animal Control takes place in Washington State. Because yeah, he was beloved by one of the animal control officers. He was actually saved a couple times, but yeah. And I know it's a fake show, but it was still, I thought it was a cute little tribute, and I did not know until Beth had mentioned that. But yeah, I don't know. I appreciate that too. Now I'm going to actually check into that more so, BMO. Thank you so much for that. Because like I said, there was a big stink because they didn't want him to be buried at all. They wanted him taxidermied, and the native, the indigenous tribes were like, no. But yeah, so I just, like I said, I've said it again. I'm stuttering and I'm repeating myself, and I apologize for that. But it's just, this message to me is very important, and it's a very good message. And, we can coexist and not have to be, afraid all the time of these animals. Like I've said before, usually if there's any activity that is threatening activity, there's reasons for it. And we just have to try to determine what it is. And yes, you can't save them all. And yes, sometimes they do need to be put down. Especially like with the one, like I said, Bruce S. Wright's book is amazing, but they had one in New Brunswick at one point that had been, way before they started saying that they weren't there, that was hanging around an elementary school, and it was there for days and days. Black lions. Aw, they use his image, but they say they're not named after him. Yeah, his image is out there, and it will be forever. He has P-22 has made a mark on the world. I mean, that's California. I'm in Maine, and his story hit really, really good. Yeah, it's an amazing story. Like I said, tomorrow I'll share on my Ghost Cats and Cryptids page the little nature video that discusses it's shorter. It'll be a lot less rumbling like mine is of his story and how it inspired the wildlife crossing now to help animals get across without being hit. And what I find interesting with that too is shortly after I watched that and I was like, I've got to share this after my show is done. But I come across an article from Florida where one of their Florida Panthers was hit by a car. They rehabilitated it. They released it back into the wild. It has a GPS tracking collar. And what BMO said, is really spot on here because they literally have tracked the cat, and the cat, after being hit by that car and surviving, has never crossed the highway again or any roads. It has not gone near them. It will use the swamps and the woodland areas to move around, but it will not cross a road at all. And it's because it learned not to do it. Yes, BMO with us. Thank you for stopping in, D Hoot. I really appreciate it. You have a great night. And that's the thing. It's like he was saying is, they learn and they observe. And if this cat was hit by a car enough so that it had to be rehabilitated, but it was fine to be released back into the wild, and now it refuses to go anywhere near a road, it learned something from it. So, they're smarter than what people give them credit for and stuff. And when going over that and with what BMO said, I was just like, yeah, this is an amazing thing and stuff. So I will let you guys go. I appreciate you coming in and on Mother's Day and watching this special episode with me. Like I said, P-22 has a place in my heart. I will talk about him till the day I die, just because I think his message is amazing and it needs to be heard and over and over again. Okay, so I'm going to be a broken record when it comes to P-22, but I appreciate everybody stopping in and listening to me ramble on, taking time out of your Mother's Day. Once again, I hope everybody had a wonderful Mother's Day, or if it's your day off, you had a great relaxing day. And I will see you guys next Sunday. Make sure you tune in to Wojo Show Tuesday night. Home of the Boom, and then of course Sam After Dark on Fridays, which I always check out now. I usually can't make it all the way through, but we never know what's going to go on. Oh, thank you, BMO. Oh, I appreciate that. I really hope so. Yeah, I do have a passion for that, for animals throughout. It's not just mountain lions. I love all animals, but trying to prove that these ghost cats are here and make sure that they get some type of protection is very important to me. And then I will see you next Sunday. I've got to come up with a topic. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, if it's going to be, what Vermont wants to do, but I'd like to talk to somebody first from Vermont's inland fisheries and wildlife to get some more questions answered before I do that. And then I've been working on one that D Hoop brought up a while ago, so I might try to squeeze that one in. But until then, remember, when it comes to research and everything else in life, sometimes you just have to say, what the hell? Good night, guys. Bye. It's not going to do this thing. Oh my God. It's not letting me leave.